Hello and welcome. I am so excited to finally pull back the curtain on a world that's hidden all around us. We're about to explore this vast, ancient empire that, believe it or not, rules our planet. It's an empire of organisms so tiny they're completely invisible, but so powerful they literally shape the world we live in. All right, let's dive right in.
So, I want to kick things off with a question for you. When you think of success in the biological world, what comes to mind? Is it the brute strength of a lion, the sharp intelligence of a dolphin, or maybe you're thinking it's us?
Well, the answer, by pretty much every metric you can think of, is not humanity. It's not any animal, not any plant you can see. The true, undisputed rulers of this planet are the bacteria. And to really get a sense of their success, you have to think about time, deep time. The fossil record tells us that bacteria have been on this planet for at least 3.5 billion years. They had evolved and completely dominated the Earth for 2 billion years before the first complex cells, the kind that make up you and me, even showed up. They are the absolute OGs of life. And their dominance isn't just some ancient history. It's happening right now. They are literally everywhere. In the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil under our feet, deep inside the Earth's crust, and yeah, even inside of us. If you could somehow gather up all the plants, all the animals, all the fungi and protists in the entire world, bacteria would still outnumber them all, combined. So in this explainer, we're going to take a journey into their world. We'll start by figuring out what makes them so unique, then we'll check out their incredible microscopic engineering. We'll even meet some of the key players in their empire, try to understand their complex relationship with us, and then we'll wrap up with a quick review. All right, let's get into our first section. We are officially entering the hidden empire, the world of the prokaryotes. Okay, so this is the crucial term you gotta get, prokaryote. It literally means before the kernel, or, before the nucleus. See, unlike our own complex cells, eukaryotic cells, a bacterium's DNA just kind of floats around inside. There's no fancy nucleus to hold it. It's a simpler, more streamlined design, and it's a design that has worked brilliantly for billions of years. Now, don't let that word simple fool you. Each and every bacterium is a masterpiece of microscopic engineering, perfectly built for one single purpose: survival. And to see what I mean, just look at two of their most incredible tools. When things get really bad, some bacteria can build something called an endospore. Think of it like a tiny armored escape pod just for their DNA. And for getting around, they've engineered the flagellum, which is basically a biological outboard motor that is just mind-blowingly complex. Let's watch how this little survival bunker gets built. So when it's facing harsh conditions, the cell first makes a copy of its DNA. Then it carefully wraps up that copy in multiple protective layers, including a super tough spore coat. And finally, the original cell actually sacrifices itself, breaking down to release the endospore. That thing can then just lie dormant for centuries, waiting for conditions to get better. What an incredible survival strategy. And what about that motor? The flagellum isn't just some flimsy tail. It is a true rotary engine. It's got a basal body that anchors it into the cell wall and spins around. It's got a hook that acts like a flexible universal joint. And then there's the long filament that acts as the propeller. It can even spin both ways, which lets the bacterium swim, swarm around, and change direction on a dime. But wait, there's more. For moving across surfaces or for grabbing onto other cells, a lot of bacteria use these things called pili. You can just think of them as microscopic grappling hooks that they can shoot out and then retract to pull themselves along or to connect with a neighbor. So we've seen the basic toolkit, right? Now let's actually meet some of the major factions inside this bacterial empire, because each one has its own special thing that it does. First up, the cyanobacteria. Honestly, if there is only one group of bacteria you ever learn about, it should probably be this one. These guys are, and I'm not exaggerating, the organisms that made our world possible. So how did they pull that off? Well, it was a three-part plan. First, they were among the very first to figure out photosynthesis, using sunlight to make their own food. Second, as a waste product, they released huge amounts of oxygen, which completely transformed Earth's atmosphere. And third, they can fix nitrogen, pulling it right out of the air and turning it into a natural fertilizer for the whole ecosystem. Okay, next, let's meet the master chemists of the microbial world, the actinomycetes. Now, they might look a little bit like fungi because they grow in these long filaments, but they are 100% bacteria. These bacteria are incredibly important to us. And why? because they are constantly in a state of chemical warfare with other microbes in the soil. And in doing that, they've developed this huge arsenal of chemical weapons that we use as antibiotics. I'm talking tetracycline, erythromycin. So many of our most important medicines come from these little soil-dwelling chemists. But of course, like any powerful family, some members of this group are also pretty serious pathogens. The diversity here is just stunning. I mean, this table is just a quick glimpse. You've got the spiral-shaped spirochetes, these cool corkscrew-looking guys. This group includes harmless decomposers, but also some notorious pathogens, like the one that causes Lyme disease. Then you have the rod-shaped Pseudomonas, which are the workhorses of decomposition in soil, but can also cause serious infections in hospitals. And finally, check out the mycoplasmas. These are the smallest bacteria we know of, and they're totally unique because they don't even have a rigid cell wall. That makes them naturally resistant to a lot of our common antibiotics. And that brings us to a really crucial point. Our relationship with this whole bacterial empire is, well, it's a double-edged sword. They are both our greatest allies and sometimes our most deadly foes. Let's start with the good side, because honestly, it is overwhelming. Bacteria are the planet's ultimate recyclers. They run all the essential chemical cycles that all other life depends on. They help make our food, everything from yogurt to cheese. We even use them as environmental cleaners to break down things like oil spills. And right this second, your own body is home to what we call your normal flora, a whole community of bacteria that helps you digest food, makes vitamins for you, and protects you from harmful microbes. It's an amazing partnership.
Okay, whew, we have covered a ton of ground. So before we wrap this all up, let's just do a quick check to see what's really sticking with you.
Okay, first question for you. When a bacterium faces a really nasty, life-threatening environment, what is the name of that tough, dormant survival bunker it creates to protect its DNA? Go on, think about it. Did you get it? It's the endospore. And for our second question, which group of planet-changing bacteria was responsible for one of the biggest environmental makeovers in Earth's history? You know, creating our oxygen-rich atmosphere. You got this one? That's right, the cyanobacteria. And that brings me to my last thought for you. We've seen just how ancient, how resilient, and how powerful bacteria really are. They created the world that we know, they sustain it every single day, and they have thrived for billions of years without any help from us. So the final question I really want to leave you with is this: how long do you think we could last without them? Thanks for joining me.